this is how I'm going to remember my dad moving forward. This is what is going to move me forward every single day.
I like the one thing, this is weird because I might have been like 12 years old, and it was like one of those moments where like it was like some. You ever notice like when you go through the universe, you live your life, and there's like these screenshots where you're like, you're like, this is going to be burned in my brain forever. Was we used to go this we used to visit this guy's house. So my brother baptized Dino's kids, two twins, Sav and Aaliyah, and so we'd go there. They were really, really good friends, and we'd probably go to their house on Saturday nights every, like at least once or twice a month, at least once a month for sure. We'd go there. All the Greeks would go there, and I'd hang out. All the Greek kids would go in the basement. We'd all hang out, and Dino had a carpet business, so he had this one room where there was like
Carpet everywhere.
just carpet rolls of carpets, and we just go at the top and climb around.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And but every once in a while, I'd go upstairs to the kitchen. I'd get another pop or something like that, and my dad and all the Greeks would be in the living room, like just like joking around. And at some point of the night, because my dad was always the funniest one, I remember it turned into like he'd just end up in one of the corners of the living room, and he'd be like the whole room would literally be his, and he'd just be on fire. And it like to look back at it, because it just burned in my brain. It's like it was like he was doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And he was
what you ended up doing.
What I ended up doing.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking like, oh fuck, my dad's like, this is who he is. He's not this foreman that works at Universal Handling for 35 years building dumpsters and like, whatever else that he did in his life. He was just always this dude that like, as grumpy as he was towards me, like if it was just me and him around, I'd like, it was more like, we had our moments, but a lot of times I'm some sort of degenerate that's never going to get my shit together. But as soon as a friend came in the room, he'd be the guy that I know everybody loves.
He lit it up, man. And the thing is, Manolis, if you were raising you'd be grumpy too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest.
I know. Yeah, he had a lot to deal with.
George Zontanos was an entertainer in a time before there were entertainers. It was just the guy who told all the jokes, who got everyone laughing, who lit up the room. Patrick, you've known George for a long time. You've been really close friends with Manolis for a long time. Yep. So you've come and gone. You've seen George. As a friend of Manolis's, what's the first thing that pops into your mind when you think of George and the impact he had on Manolis's life and on yours to some degree?
Well, it's funny because the big joke forever was that he was in his 90s and he's in better shape than Manolis and any of us. Like it was incredible. Like you see, like he does more manual labor than I did in the last 10 years. Yeah, like it's incredible. Yeah. But a funny thing too about him is like when I became friends with Manolis, and then like his name came up at like a family function, and then I found out that my cousins, so I have Greek cousins, so my mom's sister married a Greek. And when I said Manolis' last name, he asked if his dad was George, and then he called him Kalamata. So like, that's when I realized like, oh, because the Greek community, same with the Italian communities and stuff, like everybody kind of knows each other, like especially in a city like Hamilton. And so then I heard all these stories about how everyone knew Kalamata, they all knew George, and he was just like, obviously that's where Manolis gets his sense of humor, and there's all these like, I like all the little weird things like Manolis said his dad does, and you can't argue that it works or not, like or that it doesn't work, like little health things. Like remember Manolis, you had that honey container in your shower.
Yeah. Yes.
And I was like, why is this in, like, he had like a honey container with like a clear liquid in it, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's vinegar. I'm like, why is it in the shower? He's like, you squirt it up your bum. I'm like, why? He goes, I don't know, my dad does it.
He cleans his asshole with white vinegar after he showers, because I guess it's like a male douche thing. And it's like, it's one of these things too, is like it's so weird. It's weird that he's gone, like that he's dead. And then like I'm like slowly going to have to get rid of stuff in my dad's house, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I see the vinegar, the honey vinegar bottle,
that he sprays up his butt.
But it sprays us up his butt. Is this what I keep for my memory of my father? Like I'm like, he's like, I can't, like, it's like I can't get rid of this picture. I can't like there's Kalamata on his. There's a bar in the basement. He cut out the words Kalamata in steel, and it's screwed into the bar. I'm taking that, but do I also keep the empty container that used to be up his asshole for the last 20 years? Do I keep that, or do I? Because part of me is like, I can't. I don't know if I can throw this away.
I don't think you've had too many laughs over it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gold. All right. This is Friday at 420. Manolis, Patrick, our regulars, and our special guest joining us today is Matt Ferguson. Matt, great to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, bro.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You were a huge help to Manolis, as so many people were, and Manolis is loved by everybody. But Matt, talk to me a little bit about why it's important to you to reach out to a friend like Manolis during the time he was going through. Not everybody does that,
Yeah, I think it goes back to like a lot of people don't check on their strong friends. Like if your friend's always the one who's sorting out your problems, and Manolis is always that guy. Like you go to him literally like a therapist, like, and he's not qualified, but he gets it done,
Yeah.
And he's just that guy for everybody. Like you meet Manolis one time and you end up on the phone with him at 3 a.m. a year later, trying to sort out like you missed a car payment or something, like the most ridiculous stuff, and he'll just talk you through it. And you don't check on people like that a lot, like you just think he's always got his shit together, like, and of course a time like this is the most crucial that you'd want to check on someone. But I just feel like those people get kind of fallen through the cracks. They don't get checked on, and it can be a real issue. And you just got to pay people back when they've always been there for you. Like I just know he would do exactly what I did for him, for me, and for anybody else who needed it. So I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I just love that man, and I would do anything for him. Yeah.
You know what, Matt? You're a good man, and sometimes it turns into rambling because we're not sure how to end the thing by going, you know what, fuck it, I'm a good man. But you're a good man. You stepped up, and that was really awesome. And it is true. Sometimes those strong people, we don't think they necessarily need somebody to lean on. And by your comments, I feel pretty good about myself because when Manolis has a problem, he reaches out to me.
Well, that like exactly what Matt said. Like when I was talking to Manolis on the phone during some of this, I was literally thinking, what would Manolis say to me if it was the other way around? Yeah. I was like, how do I handle this? I tried to talk to you the way you would talk to me.
It's funny because what I was thinking back to when, so you have to remember, I didn't know you and Manolis, you and Patrick that well. I mean, we got to know each other doing this show, and we'd met each other a few times before, but basically we got to know each other really doing the show, and we were doing it on the radio for a long time when I worked in radio way back in the day. But ultimately, you came to me, and we decided we wanted to do a Father's Day edition of the show, and we were going to have both your dads on, which I thought was cool. That's a cute radio sort of gimmick, right? Father's Day, have a couple of dads on the radio who aren't radio broadcasters or whatever. So I was unaware at the time that Manolis's dad was 93 and English was not the first language of choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now I'm sitting there as the radio broadcast professional thinking, how the hell am I going to do 40 minutes with an old guy who doesn't really speak that much English, or at least jams a lot of Greek and English together? And I thought, wow, I was nervous. Mm-hmm. And then George walked in the room, man. And it's like, it didn't matter what he said. It was funny. It was just, he had so much life and enthusiasm for what he was doing. And I just thought, man, this is, if I'd known that going in, I wouldn't have been nervous at all, because he was just that guy, like you said, Manolis. And what Manolis learned from him was how to tell a story, how to get in and tell a story, right? So, Matt, did you have much interaction with George over the years?
Not like in person, but oddly enough, I kind of felt like I met George before I met Manolis, because I had heard some of the answering machine messages on YouTube before me and Manolis were even good friends. Like
everybody knows George
in comedy. Yeah. And it was just like, I felt like I knew George better, or at least his comedy stylings better than Manolis the first time I met him. But yeah, I feel like he's that guy. George was the guy that if you knew Manolis, you knew a story or a funny thing about George, and you told other people, just kind of like word of mouth, So
That's awesome. Listen, we're gonna wind down our mini tribute to George Zontanos, who will be dearly missed, but we always have to remember he lived a hell of a life, man. Manolis, final word to you. How's your mom doing? And then anything else you'd like to say, and then we're going to get into our game and have a little Friday at 420 fun, lighten the load.
Yeah, my mom's. We're trying to get my mom into a nursing home, so it looks like that's going to happen down the road, hopefully sooner than later. And she's doing a lot better. She also had COVID, and amazingly enough, that no symptom, like nothing happened to her. Like she was completely fine, just very depressed at the loss of her husband, of course. And because it's weird, oddly enough, because I was pretty convinced that they she hated him for all these years. I would even say with passion. Like I'm like
Ma, are you sure you miss him?
Yeah, but she misses him.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to say a couple things that oddly happened, and I don't know what they mean, but I kind of just want to bring them up. Is like,
are you gonna tell the Nia Vartalo story?
That too, yeah.
Okay, but, well, we'll save that one for a little later. So you go ahead with what you were gonna say.
Oh,
I'll bring that up a little later.
He might not realize, like, watching someone pass for like when they decided that he couldn't deal. The oxygen wasn't going to work anymore, and then me and my brother decided that we're going to go to the next step of letting him pass peacefully. And when he did, so I didn't realize till like middle of that day that it was actually my brother's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like thinking like, oh man, I just want to get to midnight so it's not my brother's birthday, because it's just me and my brother. It's just me and it's just me. I'm sorry, my brother's not there because his kid had COVID, so I was the only one in the room. And I remember like I was like so tired and going crazy. At one point I was like so upset with the idea of my dad just having just me in there that I was like would rub his hand, and then I'd go down the other side of the room and I'd rub his head, and I was trying to create this illusion. Yeah, that there was more than
the whole family was gathered,
which was
crazy,
but I didn't know what else to do. Yeah. And then I'm like, and then he like, so that happens, and then I finally like fall asleep holding his one hand, because it was such a long period of time that I was awake, that I looked at the clock and I went 11. I remember just going 11:04, and I knew he was dead, and I'm like, shit, it's still my brother's birthday. And then it was a couple days later, Pat actually pointed out to me that the time was the date of my brother's birthday.
Yeah, like it was April 4 or April 11th. So it was 11:04.
Wow.
So 11, and I was like, I didn't even realize that till like a few days later. And then when we made the arrangements for his funeral, like I was like in a day, so I just picked. I didn't care what day. I was like, okay, right. My brother went Friday. I'm like, okay, Friday. And then my brother goes, oh shit, man, I screwed up. I'm like, what? It's like, it's Mom's birthday on Friday. Yeah. So those three things, it's like in three. So like he passed he passed on my brother's birthday. Then he died at the time exactly to the date of his birthday, and then he got buried on my mom's birthday.
Wow.
I'm there.
Crazy.
Like Pat was, we're putting the coffin into the ground, and I'm looking, because my mom, he already pre-bought his tombstone, and so I'm seeing my mom's date on her, because they have the dates where you're born, and you're looking at
it's that day.
It's that day. I'm standing there on that day, seeing that date on the tombstone, and you're like, and your brain's like the only thing that's stopping you from going crazy is the fact that you're just constantly crying. You know what I mean? Like
right. Grounded in crying. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So
it is all a whirlwind going through a scenario like that. The days sort of meld into each other, but that is, I mean, that's some crazy numerology going on there, brother.
I do want to say thank you to, like, I have like literally like probably a couple hundred people that I have to reply to through on Facebook and text and like messages and all the like comments on when I made the post. I just like I haven't really done anything on the internet since. So it's like I just want to say if you're listening, thank you. I will eventually get to you. It's just like it's one of those things. Like
Take your time. Everybody understands, man, and you have to deal with it on your own speed. And we'll all be there waiting for you when you do get around to finally answering our text messages, you bastard. It's Friday at 4:20.
He's pulling a Patrick on everyone right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be you, Pat.
We're gonna tell before the show's done. We're gonna tell the Nia Vartalo story because this thing it blew me away. Manolis shared it with me earlier. But before we get to that, let's get into a little Friday at 4:20 fun. Try to lighten the mood a little bit here because we are doing a show for the masses, a little entertainment. What we do here is we have 12 random topics in these 12 random envelopes that I stole from my previous employer, and we are going to go around the horn, and this particular topic, it's Matt Ferguson's first topic on Friday at 4:20, topic number 10, if you care. Super moon this week. There's a super moon this week. Do we care? Matt, go.
I personally care because chicks are heavy into astrology. So
oh, yeah.
It's important to be well versed when it comes to the moons and such. I have no idea what I'm talking about,
do you know your sign, Matt?
I actually got this. Yeah, I'm a Capricorn. Is that what you mean? Is that my sign?
Yeah, absolutely. I just checked.
I've heard it used against me before. Apparently, it's not a good thing to be a Capricorn.
Oh, really? My father and my wife are both.
Yeah, my dad's one too. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. See, I love Capricorns. They're awesome people.
Yeah, but no, not super into astrology, but I do. I have an app that like every morning I wake up and it kind of like tells you what your day is going to be like. And I know it's just spying on me. So it like, it's to a T, like I'd be like, you're going to have Subway or something like that. I'm like, hey, how did you know? But
you know what? It's interesting that you mentioned that because Apple's like just yesterday announced, and they're going to go to war with Facebook on this, but Apple is the iPhone is going to give you the opportunity to opt out of having apps follow you and follow your information. And they want to give you the ability to say no. And Facebook is losing its mind because Facebook, all of its billions are based on them grabbing all that information, that where you go, where you've been, where you're going. So this is going to turn into be something pretty interesting, Matt. And at some point, maybe the app won't be able to, figure out that you need Subway that day.
Yeah, I'm actually big on like all that news and stuff too, and I think it's great. For so long, they've been taking our data and making billions of dollars off it. We didn't know we were giving them this commodity and just giving it away. So yeah, that's great. Good job, Apple.
That is very cool. Manolis, are you do you believe in full moons? Do you think full moons change our perspective? It's a super moon right now. It's a full moon. Does that affect you in any way?
I think it affects everybody for sure. I'm just curious though. What's the difference between like a full moon and a super moon?
Super moon is a full moon that it happens to be closer to the planet. It's not closer by a lot, but it is closer. So when it comes up in our sky, it ends up looking like a bigger than usual moon. So they call them super moons.
I do like when the moon's full and it seems like really close because it's like. It's kind of a trip, like when you go, holy shit, man! Like it looks like it's right there. But the one thing I will say is like I was a lifeguard for almost 20 years, and I'd always trip people out when I worked with them because like the kids would go if there was an open swim like that day or like at 6 or 7 o'clock at night before it was like actually dark yet. I'd always go. I just knew these kids. I'm like, and I always say to the other lifeguards, I'm like, it's a full moon tonight, and they're like, what do you mean? It's a full moon.
You knew.
I knew because when I don't know if it affects everybody the same, and I think it does, but children, they go fucking nuts, nuts. It'd be like every kid screaming, every kid's breaking every rule, and they go fucking insane. And I was never wrong. I swear to God, every time I'm like, it's full moon tonight. Because I knew these kids, and they were just driving me fucking crazy, doing all this crazy shit. And then I even heard that, I think there's parts, I don't know where they do this, but I'm pretty sure that they'll even put more police out on full moons. I've heard that.
And certainly emergency like ERs, right, at hospitals. If you meet someone who works in an ER at a hospital, they'll tell you there's something about the full moon because ERs get crazy during a full moon.
Right. And,
Patty Coppolino, you got anything to say about full moons, man? Do they affect you? Make you grow hair on your face at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't left the house. I haven't any razors, which is gonna suck when I turn into a werewolf tonight. But I know you're upset that it's not Sailor Moon.
Oh, wow!
You were here, Matt. If you watch the Jean Paul episode,
that's right.
I think like Mike accidentally revealed how much he likes Sailor Moon.
is that a cartoon?
Yes. Yeah. That was my introduction to anime, was Sailor Moon. So
yeah. But I do think there has been times, I remember like there was nights years ago where like we'd be out in Hess Village and yeah, Manolis would all like some crazy shit would happen, like crazy fights, and just like you get this weird vibe going on, like something bad's gonna happen. And Manolis always pointed out, he's like, look, dude, full moon.
Full moon.
Yeah.
Dude.
But full moon, super moon, half moon, old moon, the one truth among all of them is that we haven't landed on either of them.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Do you really believe
deluxe?
Do you really believe that though, Pat? I'm curious.
I don't know. I'm on the fence about it.
That we didn't land on the moon.
You ever? There's a
Really?
great comedian named Matt Billen, and he has a bit about it. But in the bit, he points out he doesn't believe what he did. He goes like, "What year was it, Mike? Was it
1969?
Okay, 1969. He goes that we couldn't put a bend in a wooden hockey stick yet. You know, right?
Yeah.
But we went to the moon.
No curved sticks.
There was no curved sticks.
Yeah.
In professional hockey.
Yeah.
But like he goes, oh, if you need to figure out if a girl was pregnant or not, they still had to inject rabbits with urine. You know that?
Yeah.
And if the rabbit died,
that's where it came from.
They were pregnant.
So we're like killing rabbits.
You're killing rabbits.
We're killing rabbits. We can't put a bend in a hockey stick, but we went to the moon.
Yeah. Well, I can't broadcast this show without like at least a 10-second delay. But they broadcasted that live from the moon in 1969.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things he says, Matt Bill. That's one of the part of the jokes. Yeah.
Well, we didn't know we were going to walk down some conspiracy row when we brought up the supermoon, but whatever, dude. We got a new topic here on Friday at 4:20 with our special guest, Matt Ferguson, Manolis Zontanos, Patrick Coppolino. Thank you so much for checking out our little show. And don't forget, you can always go back and listen to old episodes of Friday at 4:20. We've had some amazing comedians on over the years, over 100 episodes out there. You can check them out, YouTube, any place you go to a streaming service, just look up Friday at 4:20. Just don't even look at who's on. Just hit it. And you're guaranteed to have a good time. And Manolis will do at least 2 jokes about masturbation. So that right there that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Let's get into our topic. This one for you, Patrick. Let's start with you, Patrick, this time. Here's what I want, guys. I want you to go back in the memory banks a little bit. I want you to tell me, either for good or for bad, I want you to tell me about a teacher that you would like to go back and see. Whether you'd like to go back and rub their noses in how you've turned out, or whether you'd like to go back and thank them for how you've turned out. Patrick Coppolino, give me a teacher.
Well, actually, I've actually thought of this recently because I am a teacher now again because Esther's homeschooling. So,
so now you're remembering all the things. This is not an easy job.
Become a teacher again. No, but I would have to say, and my high school, he was like my society teacher, but also I think at some point he was our history teacher. He did a couple things, but what's that movie that Robin Williams is in? The Oh Captain, My Captain, Society? Dead Poet Society. He like reminded me of that teacher so much.
Oh,
like
okay.
he was kind of the guy that just like threw the textbooks away and like he literally like sat on his desk and just like talked to us about life every day, and like he really gave us like a really interesting perspective, and he gave everyone a chance to talk. Like there was literally like we'd start every class with him just going around the class and getting people to share something about their life or about their week or whatever. And then he would just go on these like long rants about life and stuff like that, and like even stuff that he was personally going through. Like I remember like he was going through a divorce, and like a whole class was just him talking about marriage and divorce. It was like
would blow your mind right? I mean, because there was no other teacher doing anything like that in your house.
Yeah. And it was so he stood out the most. And again, not to bring the mood down more on this episode, but he unfortunately passed away a few years ago from cancer. That's
a good ending to the story.
I really wish. No, I wish I could see him again though.
That's awesome. You know what? And the nice part would be if he knew, and maybe he does in some way, because he's out there floating in the ether. You don't believe man landed on the moon, but I'm sure he's probably in heaven. If you think about the fact that he had an impact, and that's all you can ask for as a teacher. Matt Ferguson, jump on in here with you can name them or not name them, it doesn't matter, but a teacher, some impact a teacher had on you growing up.
Yeah, this is actually perfect topic, because I had a teacher named Brady Rivard, Mr. Rivard. I can name him because he was awesome. And I had a media English class with him, and it was one of the only classes where I was encouraged to make people laugh, or like when you're giving a presentation, like he liked it if it was funny. If that's who you are, do it that way. And I reached out to him a couple of years ago after I first started getting paid comedy gigs, just to say like, hey man, like, thank you for embracing the parts of, me that were maybe not traditional in school, but that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And that's kind of what I started to do. And I just think without a teacher like that, I just wouldn't have done it. So I found him on Facebook and reached out to him, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. That
is really cool. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in Hamilton, or?
I grew up, I was born on the East Coast, but I grew up in Woodstock, and I went to high school at College Avenue Secondary School, where he taught. And actually, when I reached out to him and I told him like I'm doing stand-up comedy, he offered a gig to me at my old high school with, I can't remember the guy's name. Pat, you might know. He's a stand-up. Yeah, he has a large gap in his teeth. He's really funny. Is it Simeon, or I can't remember his name. He's from Woodstock actually, but he's like pretty big deal. He's on America's Got Talent and stuff. I can't remember his name. Either way, so yeah,
you went back and did the gig.
I actually didn't do the gig because I had a conflicting date. But it was just cool to like see it come back. I probably wouldn't be able to perform in a high school, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah. Just for Mr. Rivard, but nobody else is going to get it, man. They're like, whoa!
Yeah.
You know what, Matt? That's twice now on this show that you've proven you're a good guy, because you're a good person who reaches back and tells somebody. I mean, those kinds of comments, as crazy as it seems, can make a teacher's day or life, right? I mean, that they had an impact. They changed somebody. That's all they're trying to do every day when they go in. The ones that care. That's very cool of you to have done that, man. And Manoli, give me a teacher, somebody who didn't ridicule you for not being the smartest in class.
I do want to answer.
Was there one?
Yeah, there is. But can I just wanted to point out, like, Ferguson also, like, it's interesting, like, how this teacher, like, with comedy affected his life. But also, like, he was also in trouble with the law, and for like weed dispensaries when they were not legal. And Mark Breslin was also wrote a letter that kind of helped him out. Is it okay if he tells that story?
Yeah, just I basically got arrested and for selling pot, and was looking at maybe going away for a little bit of time. And Mark Breslin, I had showcased for him prior to that, and I reached out to him, just told him what was going on, and just wrote me a really cool letter, basically saying that it would be a tragedy for me not to be able to pursue my talents in comedy and be able to travel, and that he was going to develop me and work with me and all this stuff. And it was just a really cool thing, and literally saved me from going to jail. Like, my lawyer even said, like, you have no idea how big this is in front of a judge.
Wow.
So having the, I think how it all ties in is just being able to reach out to someone to tell them they did a great job, but also to tell them that you need their help is it can help you big time,
It can, but you also sometimes this is, this gets into the crazy weeds, but this is where karma starts happening. When you reveal yourself to be the person who reaches out and helps others, and then suddenly you don't even realize it, and somebody else does that for you, and you kind of go, wow, I don't know why he did. That was really nice of him to do that. It's like, wow, there's a little bit of karma. Some really good comes back to people who throw a lot of good out there in the universe, which is why so many people freaking love Manolis. He's always pitching out to the universe some good vibes, man.
Breslin was saw him showcase at Yuck Yucks in Hamilton, and he liked him so much, and he literally pulled me aside, because like his act makes him seem like he's like possibly a dangerous person, right? And he goes, is this a friend of yours? And I'm like, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Is he safe? He goes like, is he safe?
Is he safe? Yeah.
What do you mean, is he safe? He's like, is he safe to work with? Do I have any problems? No, God, yeah, of course he's safe. He's one of my best friends. He'll be no problem at all. It goes, okay, that's all I need to know. And he just walks away from me, and then finds him, and then steals him away from everybody. And he talks to him. You know, I think he like sees Ferg as like the way he looked at when he saw someone like Sam Kinison or someone like that back in the day. So it was like, it made me really feel really good that all
That's very cool.
worked out the way it is. But
give me a teacher, bro.
Real name. And it's funny you say this because I thought about him yesterday. Mr.
Weird.
Dress Up.
And not the TV Mr. Dress Up.
No, he's the real Mr. Dress Up.
What do you mean? The real
I mean,
Mr.
real.
Dress Up?
His actual last name is, I guess, Dress Up.
Oh, Dress Up. Okay.
Yeah. So Mr. Dress Up was our and I remember there was so I remember Mr. Dress Up on TV, and my teacher's name was Mr. Dress Up, and everybody just remembered this dude. But what was interesting about this guy was like, this is the reason why. This is the reason. I'll tell you why. The reason I brought him. I mean, I thought of him yesterday. But
Okay.
my favorite thing. I had my favorite moment in my life as with teachers with this guy, and because I was horrible in everything. I didn't do any work. You know, I was a troublemaker, but I didn't do the work. I wouldn't go home and study. So every week I would like get like 8 out. I would get 2 right out of 10 on the spelling test, right? And I never read. And there was it was like near the end of the year. He had this book. It was like we were on the last book, the hardest book of the year. Haven't read all year, right? He gave up on me, and then I started reading the book at home, and my mom's friend saw me reading out loud. It's like, oh my God, that's great. You're doing really good. I'm like, oh, okay. And she goes, you have to show your teacher that you can basically read, right? Surprise, right? So I go to school and just listen to my mom's friend because I knew she was smart, and I go, Mr. Dress Up, can I read this book to you? It's the last book of the year. I haven't read anything all year, right? And he goes again, yeah, sure, okay, like that. Said it like that, like this,
like this isn't gonna go well.
Yeah, this should be good. I read it. It was like 13 pages. I read front to back perfectly, giant words, the biggest words for grade 3 at the time because it's the end of the year. Haven't read it, and I finished the book. I look at him, and he says like this. He goes, "How?" That's all he says. I'm like, he goes like this. I go, what? I go like this. I go, what? I go, what? He goes, how did this happen? And I go, and this, I swear to God, this is what I said, because I didn't understand the question back then. I go, I don't know. That's all I said. And that was it. But then.
That's awesome.
In the middle of the year, this is why I wish I could talk to him now. Everybody brought something for show and tell. And some kid brought a Polaroid that their dad took from their porch. I remember it was from the porch, and he got like it was clear as day, and it was an angel flying up to the sky, and you couldn't see the head of the angel, but you saw the wings and the body, and it looked exactly like you would think of like the way you would draw an angel.
Right.
And this Polaroid. And Mr. Dress Up was so freaked out. He was like, he looked at it for like a half an hour. It's like, and he asked him all these questions, and it made me go like, holy shit, I guess this is a real fucking angel, I guess, right? He brought his camera in and took pictures of the picture.
Whoa.
And I was like in grade 3. So I'm like, I want to talk to him now. He's probably dead, but I would love to know if that really fucking, I'm like,
there was an angel there?
Was it a real angel,
really an
dude?
Angel?
Did you really think it was an angel looking back? Was that really a fucking angel, or what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But
that is crazy. So, well, you know what? Some great stories there. I didn't know how that topic would go, and you guys all had some great material to work with. Mr. Dress Up. I can't believe we talked about Mr. Dress Up, and there was not a single joke about the tickle trunk. Come on. He's got a tickle trunk, for God's sakes. That can't be good.
So does Sue Johansson.
yeah, no, that's a guy. Anyway, all right. Listen, we don't have a lot of time left. So instead of throwing out another topic here, I'd like us to sort of put a bow on this one. This was a very special, very important episode for us, particularly for Manolis and the loss of his father, George Zontanos, who we were friends with, who we had on the show, and who we will all miss deeply. Matt, before we wrap this thing up, I just want to get you to let us know where. I know we can't see you at a comedy club yet, but can we follow you on the social media? How would we do that?
I actually went full darkness. I don't have any social media anymore. I actually have a Twitter. I just don't know what the Twitter handle even is. I just use it to check out the world crumbling around me.
So you are literally isolated, fully isolated in all ways.
You got to catch me in the flesh. That's the only way. So.
Are you looking forward to, like, will you get back out and do comedy once it all opens up? And
yeah, eventually. I'm not super, not rushing to do it in the way the world is right now. So, but yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Eventually. Well, we eventually look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do that live in a club somewhere, and we can all judge for ourselves whether you're funny or dangerous.
Seriously funny.
It's seriously funny. Yes. Well, we appreciate you sharing with us. We certainly appreciate you supporting our friend Manolis, man. That was really good of you to do that. And we appreciate you hanging out with us on Friday at 4:20. Patrick Coppolino, what would you like to say? I know Levity is still closed. You got anything else you'd like to add during these crazy times?
No, just follow me on Twitch. Watch me play video games. I don't know. So much going on.
Ferguson, it sounds like you're pretty isolated. You haven't had COVID? No. Patrick, I know, is isolated. He hasn't actually, the room that he's in right now, he hasn't even left that room in a year and a half. Yeah. But I will say, and because I know that it happened to Manoli, and I just want to say, since we were last doing the show, I have had COVID.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. And it was funny because I was sick. I had fever, body aches, fatigue. The fatigue was brutal, man, for like a couple of weeks. I still get fatigued pretty easily. But the thing I don't think people talk enough about is losing your sense of taste and smell. It was like, holy crap, dude. Like, it wasn't just like a head cold kind of, you can't really taste anything that well. It was gone, man. I mean, you could have put hot sauce in my mouth. My tongue would have been on fire and I would not have tasted it.
That's crazy.
It really was. And I said to my brother, I was talking to him and I said, I can't believe more people aren't complaining about this. And he goes, well, considering that people are dying, it's not really right to talk about how I lost my sense of taste and smell, man. It sucks. So I go, okay, well, that's a really good point. But anyway, if you do catch COVID, watch out for that one, because that is a nasty symptom. Manolis, did you lose sense of taste and smell when you had it?
No.
Okay. That never happened to you. We're going to wrap the show up with Manolis and his Nia Vardalos story, because I think this is an amazing thing. I think Nia Vardalos is a little bit like our own Matt Ferguson here, the kind of person who would just reach out when you aren't expecting it. So explain to us. She was the star of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She's done other things, but I mean, that's how people are going to know Nia Vardalos as the star of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So Manolis, take us through the story of how you contacted her, and then what happened after that.
Well, when I found out my dad was because my dad was in the hospital for 4 days, they were treating him for COVID, and then they called me at 5 a.m, and then they said that he was he had a heart attack and that it wasn't looking good. And then I came down there, and then they told me my options yet. We haven't decided to go to give up yet on treating him. And by the time that happened, I came home at 6 a.m, and I was I felt like I was having I probably was having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And out of desperation, I'm because I do believe in energy, human beings' energy. I do believe if we all thought for you to get better for some reason, not knowing that you could get better. And so in my head, I thought if I get thousands of people, this is the only first time in my life, I'm going to try to use my social media to save my dad's life. And I know it was a long trip, but I was looking for a miracle, right? And then I made a post, and then and then now but at that point, now I'm in the hospital. It's the middle. I think it was the middle of the day, or like I think it was like 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. At this point, I was still hours away before it was he died. But then it hit me. I was like, I couldn't believe I didn't think of her because she's Greek, and like maybe I could get her to get people to pray for my dad, and that'll be just a few more like
It'll push you over the top.
the edge, and maybe that's what I'm looking for. So I tweeted Nia, and I tweeted her asking for her help to do this, and then she retweeted what I tweeted, and then but then out of nowhere I just saw, because my Twitter just pops up if someone sends me a message. So her manager fixed her account so she can talk to me on Twitter, and she started talking. We're like out of nowhere, I'm talking to her, and then she says, I don't know how long this will last because my manager fixed this. I go, well, here's my number in case this stops for some reason. She just goes, I'm going to call you right now. And she calls me, I'm in the hospital, like in front of my father, like fighting for his life. And she's literally like,
It's all right, dude.
Oh, good, buddy.
Yeah. She stepped up. She stepped up and
starts talking to
talked
me.
you through it, right?
trying to make me feel better.
Yeah.
For like,
That's meaningful, man.
for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I couldn't believe how blessed I was for like having probably the most famous Greek person in the world.
Yeah. Reach out to
like
you.
trying to help.
Talk to
reach
you
out,
about your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
very, very cool, man. That's
then-
a very, very sweet thing she did.
And then like, so obviously it didn't go the way I wanted to. So I felt the need, because I felt the need to let her know for some reason. I felt like it's just like, I just to let her know. And then I texted her the next day and just told her what happened. And then she called me that night to see if I was okay.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. That's powerful. That's the power. That's the energy. You know, the energy that you were reaching for, Manolis. It maybe
Came
didn't
back.
save your dad, but that energy came to you and helped you get through this and helped your family get through this. So I don't think you were wrong about the energy, dude. And she is a pretty special person.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, I'm indebted to her forever for like her kindness to my family.
So you hear that, Nia Vardalos? If you ever need anything, reach out to our buddy Manolis. He can set you up. He has access to some awesome shrooms, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Manolis, thank you so much for sharing your heart, sharing your soul, sharing the stories of your dad, which I'm sure you will continue to do. You do it so well. You bless him every time you do that, Manolis. And I think that, that there were things in your life, I'm sure, where you kind of go, was he proud of me? But I know he was proud of all of the things that all the light you shone on him. And that was what kept your old man going was, being the star of the show sometimes. And you blessed him every day with that. So you're a good man. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, man. I thank you guys, because when stuff like this happens, you realize how much your friends really matter to you. You realize how much everything else doesn't matter when you look around at things, and you realize how much just like human beings actually matter so much more than a fucking like a car
Everything.
or whatever,
Yeah.
By the way, I should say, because he asked me to mention it, Patrick is going to call you at some point. He was busy playing poker. He feels bad he never reached out, but he'll get to you.
Yeah. I did have a dream, Patrick, that
Oh yeah, well, you said that.
What was the dream?
I swear
We
to
gotta
God,
wrap this thing up.
he was someone you needed money because you were in the hole $8,000
Playing
I'm
poker?
like playing poker, and I'm like
Poker.
I thought you were good at this. Like these guys were gonna kill him. I'm like, I thought you were good at this. I'm like, I thought so too. And I don't know what to do. I'm like, how much? It's like 8,000. I'm like, $8,000.
The people are gonna murder me over $8,000.
Hey,
I don't
young
know.
people, man. Tough
I don't
people.
know why, dude. I murdered someone over fucking for 1,000. It's Hamilton.
That's true. That's funny.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching along and enjoying this, enjoying the audio and streaming it. And please share it if you can. Like it, share it, and do all those cool things with it on social media. We would appreciate it. This has been another edition of Friday at 420. Our special guest, Matt Ferguson. Matt, thank you so much. Be safe, my friend. On behalf of Manolis Zontanos, Patrick Coppolino, I'm Mike Neighbors. Thanks for watching. And until we get a chance to talk to you again in 7 days, have an awesome weekend.